Hi, this is Russ with RST Coaching Academy located here in Daytona Beach, Florida. I am the host of Daytona Beach Business Talks, where we have the privilege and the honor of showcasing and highlighting area businesses. And to that end, we present them to you so you can get to know them. Hopefully, you'll find yourself interested in their products and services and want to do some business with them. So here we are. We'll get on to this next program, and thank you for tuning in. Hello, everybody there in Daytona Beach and surrounding areas. This is Russ with RST Coaching Academy with another episode, of course, of Daytona Beach Business Talks. And today I have the privilege of interviewing my friend Bill Partington from Ormond Beach. He is the owner of AHC Lock and Safe, and he's going to tell us all about himself and his company. And we can't wait to get into that, right? So stay tuned and listen in. Bill, come on board. We're glad to have you here and look forward to what you've got to say about yourself and your company.
Good day, Russ. Thank you for inviting me to come to your show. Our business is based in Ormond Beach, but we cover all of Volusia and Flagler counties, and we have been in business since 1953, when my father started a retail hardware store. The retail hardware store became an Ace Hardware store, one of the first Ace Hardwares in the area in 1964. When I was studying in high school, I took a course called the Advanced Course in Hardware Retailing from Indiana University. It was a correspondence course, and it involved different chapters of areas of merchandise for the retail hardware industry. And so I was always interested in hardware and all of the aspects of hardware, and in particular how to run an Ace Hardware store. So I graduated from Mainland High School here in Daytona Beach, and I went to Stetson University in DeLand. I commuted, and after 2 years at Daytona State College, I graduated from Stetson in 1969, and my plan was to get into the retail hardware business with my family. My father was a lumberman from Indiana, and he had done many things in his career. He came from a wholesale lumber company in Indiana, and they had a business that manufactured hardwood lumber for the furniture industry. So he was quite an accomplished person in the business, and he came to Ormond Beach to work at a lumber company that was at the end of Granada, where Granada ended at the railroad tracks, going west.
That was a few years ago. Wow.
That the roads in Ormond, most of them were brick roads in the downtown. So I've seen a lot of things come and go, and I've always been a proponent for progress. Sometimes when we look back, we say that wasn't really progress. It was just a change that we shouldn't have been in favor of. So I'm a little bit more careful now as to what I think progress is, but it's certainly been a fun ride. I got involved in some of the committees, the Rotary Club. I was active in the JCs and the antique automobile. There was a Birthplace of Speed Antique Auto Show that I was involved with very early on. While I was in college, our first son was born, and of course that encouraged me to study and to get out of school and start making a living for my family.
Oh yeah.
So it's been a great ride, and we're very happy to have located in Ormond Beach all those years ago. Russ, what happened after I got into college and I was working in the retail hardware business in an Ace Hardware that our family owned on Granada? I decided that I wanted to specialize in a area called architectural hardware. And architectural hardware consists of door hardware and other builders hardware. So hinges, door closers, panic exit devices, commercial hardware for commercial buildings. I kind of thought that rather than sell 10 cents worth of nuts and bolts, I would rather sell $50 worth of locks. It didn't take any more effort to sell a more expensive item. So,
and it's very necessary too.
Well, it's all very necessary, and I've come to appreciate all of the our business was a small family business, but Ace Hardware was a franchise business that allowed us to have great purchasing power. So it was just a great way to be in business. Saturday was the biggest day of our business week. We used to take off half a day on Wednesdays, and our family would take trips. When I was a kid, we would take day trips around to different things. We'd go to Sanford and see them pick celery. Sanford was the celery capital of the world at that time, and we would go to Barberville. But Barberville Road, which is now State Road 40, didn't exist. It was just two ruts in the dirt, and you had to ford two creeks to get there. And the creeks were lined with what they call a corduroy highway, which was just timbers that were laid into the bed of the creek so that you didn't bog down in those areas. And you passed a lot of pasture land and areas that were just pine woods. So I've seen a lot of change in those areas. And when they opened up State Road 40, that's when they expanded. They used to have to go west on Tomoka Road to get to Barberville, and that's when they took Granada over the railroad tracks and directly out to Nova Road, which was a dirt road at that time, and so we've seen a lot of progress and a lot of change in the business, and we always drive by and say, that's where so and so. That's where the old rental center used to be, and it's now a 5-story building. So it's really fun to remember these things from earlier days. I still have an interest in the community, and I'm involved in things like historic preservation and in Ormond Main Street, which is a development organization, a private nonprofit that promotes the downtown and the businesses in the downtown, and works with the city to bring good things to the downtown. So I enjoy my work in the civic arena, and a lot of my friendships are derived from that area of my life. In business, though, our business we actually started a small business, side business to the business of hardware, and it was called Ace Appliance Sales and Service, and we sold and repaired vacuum cleaners and all kinds of appliances that might be a home type appliances. We've had an employee who was very skilled at doing that, and when he wanted to retire, that business retired with him, and I decided to study more in the door and hardware business. Prior to that, I had already received my real estate license in Florida as a real estate salesperson, and I just thought, well, everybody was doing it, I ought to do that too, and that was maybe 1970. And also, I became a state licensed, a state certified residential contractor, and that's when the state licenses became. It was actually the first cycle of testing for state licenses, and so before that, you were licensed in your county or a county area, but they didn't have state licensing. So me and a couple of friends decided that we wanted to get our contracting licenses, and my friends went on to have very successful contracting businesses, and I decided to put that license in my hip pocket and pursue selling to those people that were in the contracting business. And so I went to school. I went to the Steelcraft University and had 3 weeks of intensive study in steel doors and frames. I went to Berlin, Connecticut, and studied at the Corbin Lock Company for 3 weeks, and got an intense knowledge about just the beginning of what hardware business was all about. And part of that was to become a hardware consultant and write specifications for what they call Class A buildings. Class A buildings are basically institutional buildings, hospitals, government buildings, buildings that are built to endure hundreds and hundreds of years. Class B buildings were basically your business buildings that we see today, office buildings, multi-story, and then your just general construction would be Class C buildings. So in order to pass your architectural hardware test, you had to specify in great detail all of the hardware that went into a building. And the hospital was chosen because in a hospital you have a worship center usually, and you have specialized operating rooms, and you have corridors that have fire rating and fire doors. You have stairwells, and you have patient rooms, and you have assembly buildings, and you have a cafeteria, which is similar to a restaurant area, and you have all of the aspects of many, many different types of buildings.
Oh, yeah.
So at that time, that was the goal, to be an AHC, an architectural hardware consultant, and it allowed me to travel 2 weeks every year to different places to study. So I would go to Berea, Ohio, or I'd go to Chicago, and I would go to Baltimore, and I would go to these places to spend 2 weeks studying different aspects of that curriculum. And I received my credentials as an AHC in 1976, and after that, I became an expert in certain types of hardware. We were a distributor for the Corbin Lock Company. Corbin Lock Company has had many of its historical roots of Ormond Beach, because we have Corbin Avenue, and we have New Britain Avenue, and we have people that came here in 1873 and founded Ormond Beach were from the Corbin Lock Company and from the Stanley Hardware Company. So I was finding all this out along the way. I didn't really know it at the time, but it was a great experience to travel to those factories and to see how things were made. And as a factory representative, our position was to sell those products, and we became quite proficient at the knowledge that we needed to sell those products. We really knew nothing about locksmithing as a craft, but we knew about the products that those companies sold. So at that time, we decided that we needed a little bit more knowledge. We were the go-to people to ask questions about a hydraulic door closer or a panic exit device or the life safety codes or steel doors and frames and fire doors. We had expertise, but it was very limited. We knew nothing about all the other different types of locks that were not architectural hardware. And so it was a big learning curve. For 10 years, we learned how to, mailbox locks and safe locks and furniture locks and just every type of a lock that you can imagine that doesn't go on a door. So at that time, I took a class or a test on 42 different types of locks, and I was successful in passing all of those tests. And at that point, I became a certified master locksmith. So theoretically, I knew how to make all of these products, how they were manufactured, what the base metal was, why one metal was stronger than another metal, why certain things were shaped the way they were. And so now I was able to mate the two credentials, the certified master locksmith with the architectural hardware consultant, the AHC designation, and as a member of the Door and Hardware Institute. And I was able to have a unique platform to start a business. And we decided to call it AHC Lock and Key. And we thought there was a little bit of a rhyme to that. But as we got into the business, we realized that if we wanted to specialize in safe work, we would need to change the name to AHC Safe and Lock. So eventually we added to that the locksmith as a name. So AHC Safe and Lock, locksmiths. And you can't do this kind of business by yourself. There's no scale to a one-man operation. So as soon as we were able to hire people to work in the business, we realized that we needed people that were good locksmiths, and we couldn't find a good locksmiths that didn't come with all their bad habits that they had created. So we decided, well, there were a few good locksmiths and people that had been in other businesses that wanted to be locksmiths, and we decided that we would try to train our own locksmiths. And so that worked out quite well, because it didn't really matter how much you knew about locksmithing when you started. If you liked people and you liked to do a good job and you were proud of your work and you did the best that you could every day, that was the key to success. You could learn the technical aspects, and we had plenty of resources for any of the locksmiths to be able to call and say, hey, I've never seen this before. Of course, at that time, we didn't have cameras on our phones, and we had bag phones that weighed 10 pounds. You didn't carry your bag phone with you everywhere. And so we would have to find a phone and make a phone call and ask a question. Today, we can take a picture of something that we haven't seen before and send it off, and our team can look at it and make suggestions on how to repair something or figure out what's broken. So a lot has changed in good commercial hardware. Usually a lock costs hundreds of dollars and it's worth repairing. In a residential situation, you might just throw the lock away and buy a new lock. But the hardware that we were dealing with was in hospitals and colleges, and it was made to last for 30 years or longer under heavy use.
Wow.
So we had to learn how to adapt and how sometimes how to make things, and that's kind of where the locksmithing, the historic locksmithing comes in. Blacksmiths and locksmiths were sometimes synonymous. We would have to make things that would accomplish what we wanted to accomplish.
Are you
Even
still,
today,
after all these years in business, are you still encountering locks that you've not seen before?
well, we repair locks on a daily and weekly basis, Russ. Some of them are were actually built and installed in the 1800s and are still operating in historic buildings. And then we have the new locks that were just developed, less than 5 years ago. And some of the technology has been around for a long time. An example would be a fingerprint lock. They've had fingerprint locks for many, many years. But today, a fingerprint lock doesn't actually read your fingerprint. It reads the blood vessels under the skin of your finger.
Wow.
So it's not examining a fingerprint the way a forensic person would look at the swirls and the lines of your fingerprint. It's looking at the location of the blood vessels and so if you cut your finger off, those blood vessels are no longer active. You can't cut somebody's finger off and use it to open the door. You have to have it alive and that blood vessel operating before it will actually operate.
Man.
So
You are encountering some old locks in your business.
right, and Linus Yale created one of the first, what they call a paracentric keyway lock, and that had to do with the shape of the key. Before the 1800s, the keyway was just a straight, rectangular hole, and it had maybe a bit, what we call a bit key in it. And Linus Yale created a lock that had a wavy shape to it, and that kind of changed the industry. There are a lot of old locks, and a lot of the principles of old locks, and I'm talking about ancient locks from 5,000 years ago, that were made out of wood, that and made out of different materials over the years. So if you look at a railroad lock that was made in the 1700s, it was made out of steel, and it was hammered together, riveted. Quite a different approach. A lot of the old locks, the screws were actually made not on a screw machine, but by taking a piece of metal and filing the threads into the metal. So
wow.
It's been it's interesting to understand the metals that go into these different features, and whether they are malleable or whether they are rigid, hardened.
Wow.
So it's fun.
Regarding the people that you have acquired throughout the years, that you said it was hard to find somebody that had already been trained as a locksmith that had the mental capacity or the credentials or the lifestyle that appealed to you. So you turned to those who had no experience and got them trained. Correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then how long of a process was that for a would-be locksmith to go through the certification process?
Well, Russ, I liken it to the chef designation. You can be you can work in a kitchen, and you can wash dishes, and as you do that, you watch somebody else making salads, and you say, okay, that it's the salad chef, or that's the pastry chef. They may not know anything about cooking roasting a meat, or making some type of special food item, but they know a little bit about they know maybe a lot about their own little specialty.
Sure.
So all these little specialties together accumulate to become what we would call the head chef, or some people still refer to themselves just as a cook, but they know a lot about a lot of different things. And so that's what happens in our business. You learn different aspects, and you can know 20 things, but the 21st thing is the thing that you never had seen before.
Right.
And so it's always something new coming up. And I've been very fortunate. A lot of the work in locksmithing has to do with mathematics and measuring and doing sequences of numbers. And so part of that has to do when you're making keys for locks and the specialty keying that we do. So it's good to have somebody that is good with numbers and good with mathematics, so that they can see an array of numbers and understand what those numbers mean. It's something that you can learn, but one of our locksmiths who has been with us since I think 2002 now. That's what 22 years. His dad was a locksmith, and he grew up in the locksmith business, but he went on to get a degree in mathematics from Florida State University, and then he decided to go back into his dad's business. So when his sister took over his dad's business, he decided to come to work for us, and he works out very well, because he knows a lot of things that I have no knowledge of. From my dad wasn't a locksmith, and he how to move a safe and how to do some of these things. You can study them, but every year when you go to the convention, you learn new things every day. So it's very worthwhile. It's a continual learning process, and we're never so smart that we don't need to learn something new.
Right. So are your locksmiths, they're not necessarily certified master locksmiths like you are?
Well, some people choose not to. If they have the knowledge, they I was a person who wanted to have a certificate that said that I was a real estate salesperson, state certified, and I was a state certified contractor, and I was, I collected certificates to say that I was competent in these areas. A lot of people have the knowledge. I've often said that I could never build a house with the knowledge, but I certainly knew how to take the test, to pass the test, and do all the things, maybe some of the things that the craftsman didn't need. Maybe he didn't need to know all of the insurance regulations and all of the other technical details of running a construction business, but you needed that to pass the test. I could tell you how to calculate the modulus of elasticity of a 12-foot beam of a certain size, but actually putting that beam in place and how to nail it and how to make it work in a building was beyond my capabilities.
You'd hire somebody to do that part of it, right?
That's right.
Indeed. So bring us to 2024 in Ormond Beach, Florida. Person walks into your shop. What are they going to see? How are they going to be greeted? What are they going to see laid out? What exactly are you guys up to today up there?
Okay. Well, we have a safe showroom, and we decided fairly early on in the safe business that we would have a variety of different safes so that we could demonstrate to customers the difference, and we would educate those customers or potential customers, and then they would be able to make a better decision.
Do you
So,
specialize in certain brands of safes?
well, the brand is we are a factory distributor for the Heyman safes.
Raymond?
We've been doing business with the Heyman family for over 50 years, but the 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 construction of the safe is where we educate people. So there may be many safes that have certain construction details and have passed certain industry tests. So if you need a safe to protect paperwork, you want to have a fire safe that has a certain rating, and you have to understand how that rating is derived. If you want a burglary safe, you want to know how the safe is built and why the construction details of the safe and the bolt works in the safe and the lock on the safe, how those protect your the material that you want to store inside the safe. And so it doesn't matter to me if you're storing gold coins or if you're storing autographed baseballs. Whatever that value is tells me a little bit about what type of safe that we might recommend to you.
Understood.
Then I have to tell you the difference between a fire safe and a burglary safe. And certainly some things you want to protect from fire and burglary, and there are ways to do that, but maybe it's not the same safe. Maybe it's a safe inside of a safe to give you the protection that you want. So we
Now,
try to educate the customer on how the safe is built and the ratings and why they might want one safe over another, how the safe is going to be moved into their home or business, and how the safe is going to be attached in a way that's going to make it very difficult for someone to easily steal that safe.
so somebody says, well, I need a safe for my guns, or I need a safe for my coins, or whatever the case may be, and they think, well, I'm gonna go to the local Home Depot or Lowe's. Why would they come to you instead? How are you gonna help them above and beyond what those people can do in the particular brands? The same, they're all safes. What you've got available to offer to your clients and people watching today, why they should come and consider purchasing a safe from you guys.
Well, that's a good question, Russ, because a lot of people, particularly if they've never owned a safe, um, they they may have some questions about how the safe is manufactured. And we all know that if we go to Lowe's or Home Depot or Sam's Club or any of these places that Tractor Supply, and you see a safe, they don't know what the gauge of metal is. They don't know what tests that safe has. I mean, there can be a metal box with a lock on it, and that can be a safe, or you can have a safe. And there's a vast difference in price, and sometimes it has to do with what you can afford, and so you buy what you can afford, and you aspire to have a better safe to protect your valuables in the future. And so we give them an education and tell them. I think the knowledge comes through when we talk to people, and they develop a certain confidence that they don't get at these other places. So even some of the gun shops, they might be selling a perfectly good product, but without the knowledge of how the safe is actually made and the expertise in the types of locks that are available. A lot of times we'll take a safe that comes from the factory and we'll put a different type of lock on it. So if you need a lock that has two different pass codes to get into it, I'm talking about a digital lock now, push button lock, so to speak. Maybe that lock that came from Home Depot only has one combination, and that combination is the only combination that will open the safe. Well, maybe you have 3 people and you need 3 different combinations on a safe, and you want to be able to change those individually. So you don't want to have to lock out 3 people when you change the combination. You want them to keep their codes and be able to access the safe just as they always have, but you want to lock out the 3rd person. Or you want to have a safe where the customer or the employee that uses the safe can't change the combination. We've had many cases where restaurants had safes, and the employee would steal the money in the safe and then change the combination and close the door. Now it's they have to call in the locksmith to open the safe to find out that there's nothing in it. So you don't want to spend $1,500 to open a safe and then find out that the $10,000 of your daily receipts are gone. So there are ways to track these things and to make sure that the safe is doing what you want it to do.
Do you find that most of your safe sales are for residential use as opposed to commercial, or not?
It's a good mix. I just looked at a work order this morning that we're installing some safes for a car rental company, and they have, I think, 3 safes on the property. And so I'm not sure exactly what they're putting in these safes. I'm assuming that one of the safes is going to be for money, and another one is going to be for the car keys, so that if somebody breaks in to steal a car off the car lot, they're going to have to break into the safe to get a key that will operate the lock. And I'm not sure if maybe business records is something that a lot of people lock up. So
paperwork, whatever.
Yeah, I mean the people have to protect the knowledge of maybe their customer base, maybe their prospect lists. There are many things, institutional knowledge, that can be locked up in a safe to be protected.
Wow. So between locksmithing and safe, where would you say the majority of your business lies? Based on, I guess you could say, income.
I think probably 20% of our business is solid in safes. We make car keys in our locksmithing business, and we do computer programming of cars to recognize those keys that we make. Today, your key for your car has multiple functions. It might have a remote attached to the head of the key, so that you can push a button or get near the car and the car will unlock or lock. You might have a mechanical part of the key that you use if your battery is dead and the car doesn't unlock automatically when you approach it. And then you have what they call a transponder, which is a small piece, smaller than a quarter of the size of your little pinky fingernail, that is embedded in the key, and the car recognizes that transponder chip, and the computer says it's okay to unlock the car and start the car. So if you don't have that chip in your key, and that chip is not programmed into the computer on your car, and today's cars, of course, have multiple computers, so you have to access the computer port on your car and put it into the programming mode and mate the key to the car so that the car recognizes the key each time. And your car maybe has if it's a used car and it had previous owners, they may have had keys and they may have lost those keys, and all of a sudden we can't program the key because the car doesn't recognize it. Maybe there's eight slots in the computer put keys in, we have to erase the memory of keys that are no longer operating or that the owner no longer has, to open up a slot to put a key in. So,
Wow. What do
you
you
know,
think of this electronic key thing? Do you like that concept, or do you think it's kind of a point of trouble and contention with something that suddenly stops working? You know, you've got the regular key, you put it in the hole and you turn it and the door unlocks. You put it in the ignition, you turn it, and then the car starts. What do you think about all this electronic stuff when it comes to these keys?
well, I still have vehicles that you have to crank the windows, Russ. So I understand a little bit
You
about
are a
things
classic.
about things that can go wrong.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
and you know, it used to be we'd buy a car and we wouldn't go for the electric windows because we knew that was going to be an expensive thing to repair.
Right.
Today, every car comes with electric windows, and they are very reliable and they last for a long time. And it's very unusual for anybody to have a problem. So we try not to adopt things when they first come out. If it's new, I'd like to see 5 years of experience under um, that particular type of technology before I really feel confident. And some people are early adopters, and that's fine. But with early adopters, comes the learning curve, so that you have a generation, a third generation, maybe is in the third year, and if you bought it when it was in the first year, now your product isn't as good as the product is going to actually be.
Uh-huh. Well, when it comes to replacing these electronic keys, I drive a 1985 Porsche 928, and when I bought that 2 years ago, it did not come with the original electronic key. I guess even back in 1985, they had something electronic wise going on those keys, and so I've just got the original manual insert and turn. I have not investigated, nor I'm scared of what it would cost to actually acquire a new key, electronic key that would work that car. It would have to operate the power locks and so on. And it's like, those babies would have to be very expensive to replace, even if they're available on a car that's 39 years old.
Well, sometimes they are, Russ. You just but quite often they are much more expensive. The remotes 20 years ago were, I mean, in today's dollars, were at the time they were less money, but they were in yesterday's dollars. So it's what people don't or maybe sometimes don't understand is that the insurance industry drove the electronic access that we have today, and they said if you want to pay a higher insurance rate, then you can go with a car that doesn't have that protection. If you want a lower insurance rate, then you need to have the latest in technology that will try to at least a little bit prevent auto theft, or the majority of the auto thefts. So
Offers
you're
more
buying,
protection than
so it's really about a couple of different industries working together. And now even the least expensive car you can buy comes with a remote.
Yeah.
It may not have all of the sophistication of a new Porsche, but it has some sophistication. And if you didn't have that sophistication, you'd be paying a much higher insurance rate.
Unbelievable.
Because of
Wow.
theft rate.
Interesting. As we finish up here, just run through, if you can, off the top of your head, the different brands of, you mentioned the one big brand of Safe. If there's other brands, just mention those if you would, as well as the brands of locks like, regular door locks and stuff that you handle?
Well, with safes, the AMSEC, the American brand, is one of the older safes. Some of the old safe companies have gone by the wayside and or been bought up by other companies. Canon safes are quite dominant, but many companies, just like in any other industries, will have private labeled safes. So AMSEC may be making 20 different brands of safes. It's really an AMSEC safe, but it's got a different name on it.
I see.
So it's hard to tell what you're buying. We saw that in the retail hardware business, Russ, when we started seeing the inexpensive drills, electric drills that would come out, and they would have a brand name on them, but somebody in Japan was making these things, or maybe China, and they were making a drill that you could buy for $10, but the actual product only they sold the brand name, and it came with a one year warranty or a 10-year warranty. It didn't really matter because they would throw the product away and give you a new one if it failed. Sometimes you want to look and say, okay, who is actually making this product for the person who is labeling the name on it. Russ, we didn't talk a lot about keys, but keys is a big part of our business, and locks. And we have the big lock manufacturers, the Schlage, the Kwikset, are the two big home, and Schlage makes all kinds of locks, commercial locks. Kwikset is more into the light commercial and the residential locks. Sargent is a big name. Today, what's happened is that many of these companies have been bought out by large investment conglomerates.
Holding companies.
So you might have 10 different brands that are all owned by the same conglomerate. They may operate as individual businesses and compete in the marketplace with their brother companies, similar to the way some of the automobile manufacturers did for a long time. And so you would have General Motors that consisted of 5 or 6 different brands. So that happens in our business as well.
I see. Interesting. And you guys make house calls too, I understand.
Service is a large part of our business, and sometimes new installations can be quite extensive. A lot of times we get a call and the lock is not working or the door is not working. It could be a pebble in the threshold. It might not have anything to do with the lock. It could be that the hinges are bent or the door is sagging and we need to fix the hinge. Could be that a door closer is failed or a pivot is worn out. So sometimes the complaint doesn't match the actual problem. It's kind of like going to the doctor and you think you have one condition, but the doctor tells you have a different condition.
Right.
And then he gives you the medicine that costs you $41, but it's got a retail price of $1,000. If you look, your insurance paid the other part, and they got a big discount, and so service is important. We try to do our scheduling in a way that is most, some things are urgent. If you're locked out, that's a kind of a priority. Some things are maintenance items, and it's great to do maintenance because that way you can prevent larger problems.
Right.
But, we appreciate all of the customers that call us, and we do work for national companies, and those national companies have contacts with the local Chipotles and the McDonald's and the all of the different national brand companies. So we do business with the national service providers. We do business with local business people, We do business with hospitals. We do service work that is factory warranty type service, and then we do business for homes, and for realtors do a good bit of business with us.
Wow. And I think you said earlier that you service all of Volusia County and Flagler County both, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so you guys get around. So anyway, how can people get a hold of you? How can people find your shop and your phone number, your website, your street address, that kind of information, if you want to put that out there right now for people?
Okay. We're located, our office and safe showroom and service center are located on Granada. Granada is also known as State Road 40, and we're down near the City Hall, in the same block as the Ormond Beach City Hall, right next to the Ormond Garage. We've been in that building since 1993, but it's a building that we used to run a hardware store in that building in 1959. So we've been on Granada since 1953 in the same block.
Wow. And
so
what is it? What is the address?
Is 54 West Granada.
54 West Granada. Okay.
And Russ, as you know, we belong to the Chamber of Commerce. We belong to the Ormond Beach Chamber of Commerce, the Daytona Beach Chamber of Commerce, the Port Orange Chamber of Commerce. We belong to the many different support organizations like the Board of Realtors, and we belong to the Manufacturers Associations. We believe that all of these connections are good connections, and we support other businesses in that way.
Right.
Our website is ahcsafe.com.
ahcsafe.com.
Correct.
Okay. And phone number?
And the phone number is 253-9766.
253, that's area code 386-253-9766.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, folks, there you are. You've heard the story of Bill Partington, how he kind of fell into this business one step at a time, and through the years has created a well-known, well-established, well-respected safe and lock company here in the Volusia and Flagler County area. So you need any help in the world of safes and locks, any advice, any consultation, Bill and his company, they're there for you. So you can reach them, physical location, that's the store, the shop, give them a call, go to the website, and that's about it for now. Anything else and final words you might want to say, Bill?
No, thank you, Russ. You're doing good work, and I appreciate knowing you.
Well, I appreciate knowing you, Bill. Thanks for coming on today. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you've gained some information here, and the next time you need a safe and or a lock or help or anything in that department, give them a call, make contact with them, and they'll be right out there to help you out. So we'll see you folks next time. Thanks for tuning in. I say over and out. Until then, bye-bye.
So thanks for tuning in to another episode of Daytona Beach Business Talks. I hope you found this episode interesting and informative as you perhaps learned about a business here in the area that you were not aware of before. At any rate, it may be something that you might find yourself contacting and want to do some business with them, and they'll appreciate it, and I'll be honored to be of assistance in this process. In the meantime, if there's anything that I can do at RST Coaching Academy, please give me a call at 386-286-2450, or you can email me at email@rstcoachingacademy.com. Until next time, we'll see you around town. Take care. Bye-bye.